cheat on me with my student, steal from me, and then slander my reputation. Get ready to lose your job, future, and face jail time. So I was madly in love with my ex-girlfriend for 4 years. She is very attractive and affectionate. She thrived on attention, which I tried to provide to the best of my ability. I called her Winter, and she had a cheesy name for me as well, which I will not reveal. Overall, I was pleased. Apart from the fact that my grandparents left me a sizable inheritance, I earned significantly more than she did. Although she lived in her own apartment, we live in a very conservative country where live-in relationships are frowned upon. The majority of the items in it belonged to me. She drove my car and used my laptop, among other things. I have a LCD TV, whereas she purchased a 60 Bravia and defaulted on payments, forcing me to pay for it. This was not an isolated incident, either, because she had a lot of things for which I was paying. I admit I was a doormat, blissfully unaware of all the red flags. So I was at her house one day and used her laptop to check my email. I couldn't remember her Wi-Fi password. Her Gmail account opened, and as I was about to sign out, a Hangouts notification popped up saying, "God knows how much I adore your body. 7, the same park. Night at my house. Wear the dress that my name purchased for you so that I can tear it apart." She probably deleted it because there were no other texts on that chat head. It was one of my students. My barely 18-year-old first-year student will be our mascot. I can't put into words how I felt at the time. It was a whirlwind of emotions. I slammed her laptop shut and stormed out of her apartment. But I was stupid enough not to take any evidence, but they were supposed to meet the next day, and I could catch them red-handed. The next day, I go to where they were supposed to meet and catch them kissing in my car. I knock on the window, request my keys, and tell her not to bother me. Again. She was sobbing and apologizing. When I asked to take her home, he just bolted like his tail was on fire. I'll never forget the expressions on their faces, the sudden pallor and shocked expressions. I'd also left his phone in my car. Meanwhile, I'm getting texts from her apologizing. Then I block her. I spent the next 2 days drinking myself to oblivion, and hungover me left a lot of fuzzy details in the post. I tried calling my best friend, but he was on a business trip, and I didn't want to bother him. For 2 days, all I did was drink, puke, sleep, eat, and repeat. When I came to my senses 2 days later, I went through my bank statements and then canceled our joint account. So she took almost all of the money out of it, of which 3/4 was mine. I was still getting texts and phone calls, but during my drunken rage, I cracked my phone's screen, rendering it useless. So I took out my backup phone and saw a slew of notifications. She later revealed on Facebook that I had been cheating on her, that I was an emotionally manipulative, two-faced jerk who sleeps with his students. We had a lot of mutual friends, the majority of whom had blocked me. Someone even started a WhatsApp group where they verbally abused me and said horrible things. My sister was even turned against me by her. Our father abandoned our mother for a woman half his age. Our mother became depressed and died after a few years. As a result, she was acutely sensitive to infidelity. But X was also a master manipulator, and she knew exactly how to make my sister despise me. X was reopening all of the old wounds she knew about our father. She said things like, "Chip off the old block," and "he's just like your father," among other horrible made-up remarks. She became very depressed as a result of this, and several of her friends were on my ex's side. Our relationship has most likely been permanently strained as a result of this. The news of X's Facebook post spread like wildfire throughout the college. They branded a shy, socially awkward girl as my mistress and shamed her. To be honest, I'd never noticed her. The awakening. Finally, the moment everyone has been waiting for. She effectively destroyed my reputation and goodwill in my community among my peers. My job is now in jeopardy. She turned my sister, my only family member, against me. I later showed her the apology text that my ex had sent me, and she apologized to me because I was clearly the victim, not her. Several helpful Redditors advised me to contact a lawyer, which I did. So the next day when I went to work to take a few days off, I ran into his father. I managed to resist the urge to punch him. He apologized and said he'd do anything to keep him from dropping out of college. I asked him if he'd be willing to testify in my favor, and he agreed. I did tell him that I wouldn't be able to save him because it was beyond my abilities. He said he would still testify in my favor, and he sent me screenshots of his chats with his ex, confirming that she was cheating on me, not the other way around. I filed charges under Sections 499 defamation, 500, and 504 of the Indian Penal Code, intentional insult with intent to provoke breach of the peace. To be honest, the day of the hearing was the best day of my life since the breakup. She said a lot of derogatory things about me and was yelling so much that the judge had to reprimand her. Her lawyer did request an out-of-court settlement, which I politely declined because she has inevitably screwed over more than just my life. It would have been a lot cheaper and I would have gotten some money but her. This was quite a scandal, but because I have a 5-year contract, they can't fire me. Instead, I was transferred to another college. Same pay, same benefits, but I'll have to travel a little more than I'd like. She, on the other hand, is knee-deep in. She was a librarian. She majored in library science at the institution where I worked, and she was fired as soon as I informed the authorities. The reason for this is philandering with a student. This has also harmed her chances of finding work in the future. She also faces jail time, as specified in Sections 500 and 504, which can include up to 2 years in prison, a fine, or both, and Indian jails, sheesh. She can, however, post bail. Has been kicked out. The money she stole would be going to her attorney. My best friend went to her apartment and returned my belongings to me. A futon, a refrigerator, an air conditioner, a laptop, several expensive electronics, and some jewelry were among the items. She would keep the television, however, because it is in her name. She'd almost certainly have to sell it because lawyers aren't cheap. She also has no job and no savings. This is India, and as you might expect, the people are extremely conservative. She will have to confront her parents, who still believe she is a virgin, at some point. Story 2. Should I leave my husband? I've been married to my husband for 10 years. I discovered that he had been having an affair. At his practice, he has an assistant. He's a psychiatrist, and this woman has only been with them for 8 months. The affair had been going on for 5 years. I found out because I discovered text messages on his phone between the two of them, in which she expressed her displeasure that he wouldn't see her. We were on our way to a family dinner. This ruined my evening. I just wanted to go home, so I asked him to leave early. We talked about it, and he seemed very sorry. He said he would let her go. He vowed never to see her again. I informed him that I needed a break. My trust in people is shaky because my previous relationship was. He beat me, put me in a coma, and nearly killed me before I realized I deserved better. When I first met my current husband, I thought he was fantastic. He is intelligent and has a beautiful mind. Generous and kind. He was a wonderful husband. He claims he was weak for having this affair because he had no feelings for her and only found her appealing. Nothing else. It's been 9 months already. I stayed in the house after he left. He's putting a lot of pressure on me to return to him. He wants to return to our house. I don't have a legal right to keep him away, but I'm not sure I can be with him. The kids expect him to return home before Christmas. They are missing him. I'm at a loss for what to do. I know my parents survived my father's affair and came out stronger, but that was a different era. Should I simply tell him he needs to move on? Should I attempt to make it work? I'm completely perplexed. I need to take action. This is affecting my children, and I don't want to subject them to it any longer. Update. Many thanks for your advice. I've been deliberating on this. Pondering. My thoughts on reconciliation are that if I didn't have children, I would divorce. I've been physically abused, and now I'm being emotionally and mentally abused. Mine? Husband has let her go, and she has resigned. He informed her, and he informed me. She walked away and appears to have found another man. He is staying in an Airbnb home that he rents out, not far from our house. Every evening, he comes to see the kids. He and my eldest son have a very close relationship. This is having a significant impact on my son. My son is the result of a previous relationship. He's 17 years old, and he begs me to let his father come home and just try to make it work. He has spoken with our son about what he has done, why we are divorced, and apologized to him for messing everything up. I know the fact that he has harmed the children is killing him. I just don't understand why he didn't consider that before he started dating this woman. I see he's making an effort to change. Despite the flowers and checking in on me, I know it's just him trying to show how much he cares for me, but he's trying to be better. I know he hasn't had any other affairs because we had a few deep conversations and he's come clean. He has stated that he is ashamed of himself. Our families are well versed in everything, and his parents are extremely dissatisfied. They're scared of losing me. They are aware of my previous relationship and have been supportive. I don't think I'll be able to be intimate with him again. In a sense, I don't look at him the same way anymore. I adore him. I'm sure he adores me. I understand that people screw up, make rash, selfish decisions. But my decision will have far-reaching consequences. But my children's lives are at stake. We were a close-knit family, and I'm sorry for what the kids are going through. He has stood up for himself and apologized to them. I told him it was all his fault. I just don't want my children to come from a broken home. Particularly my 17-year-old. It has happened before. I don't want this to happen to him again. My husband wants to know what he can do to prove himself. He begs me not to divorce him. He is determined to make it work. But, as I previously stated, I'll never look at him the same way again. I do not want a marriage, but I don't see myself having a romantic relationship with him. I feel like there's a huge barrier up now. I'm sure he was beating me and cheating on me because of my previous relationship. My husband is aware of all of this, and he has repeatedly apologized for cheating and acting like him. He had just turned 47, and I'm not sure if he was going through a midlife crisis. This is out of character for him. He admitted to being disrespectful to the other woman. He said he would never want a man to take advantage of her in that way because she is young and we have a daughter. He admits to using her, with no intention of using her for anything other than, and she was fine with it. I'm 45 years old, and part of me doesn't want to start over again, while another part of me refuses to live an unhappy life. More than anything, I'm perplexed. The kids are putting pressure on me. When they ask if I still love Daddy, it hurts. If I do, why am I not attempting to reconcile with him? It's just that things are extremely difficult right now,